everyone, are you ready to do some more science with Mrs. Booth again? It's great to have you all back. Today we are going to be looking a little bit more closely at an impact, a human impact on rainforests in particular, called deforestation. But first, let's get our brains warmed up and remind ourselves of some of our learning that we've done before. Here on the slide, you will see lots of different organisms, individual living things, and you could classify them in lots of ways. There are 5 mammals on this slide. Remember, a mammal. It has, yes, it's got hair. It's warm-blooded, it gives birth to live young and will feed them milk. So you need to try and find 5 mammals on this slide. You might want to pause this video just to check to get them all. Have you found them? Let's see. So the first mammal, of course, was that primate, an orangutan, very closely related to us as humans. Then there was the sheep, also a mammal. Then we had the bat. Now that could have been one that might have confused you because it flies. And often we think of animals that fly are birds or insects, but the bat is actually a mammal and is one of the rodent family, and it will fly, but it does give birth to live young. Of course, Mrs. Booth has included a dolphin because they are her favourite animal, but also because they are one that can confuse some people when they think that it lives in the ocean, that might be a fish, but this is a mammal. And finally, we have our huge rodent, the capybara. That is also an aquatic animal that can live in the water and also on the land. So, did you get them right? Fab, well done. Today you are going to need a pencil or pen, a ruler, and some paper or your workbook to work in. So if you need to, you can pause the video now to go and get those things. Our key vocabulary today, change. We looked at change in our last session, thinking about what changes ecosystems, and we learnt about natural and human changes. Deforestation, that's our big focus word. Can you say it? Let me hear it. Deforestation. Impact, how something affects something else, and human, that links very closely to deforestation. So here we have our beautiful rainforest, remembering that rainforests are lush and green, and they are very special places in our world. They are they have so much growth in them and so many trees and plants because of where they are found, the climate they are in. They're in tropical climates where it is very hot and there is lots of rain. That is perfect for growing conditions for plants. It is often called the lungs of the earth. That means that it helps with our breathing. It absorbs carbon dioxide, and 20% of the Earth's oxygen is said to come from our rainforests, a real special place. But where are our tropical rainforests, and how much of our world is actually this ecosystem? We'll have a look at this map. What have you noticed about where the rainforests are found? Is it a large part of our world or a small part? You're right, it does not take up that much of our world, really. If we look at and compare it to the whole Earth, it only takes up about 3% of the Earth's area. Actually, the oceans and the seas are much larger ecosystems that can be found across the world. And 3%, that's a very, very small percent, is actually a rainforest. However, even though it's a small part of our world, you will find over half of the world's animals in these rainforests. So a small percentage of our world, but a huge percentage of all the animals that live on Earth live in these rainforests. A really, really important ecosystem that we must protect. So what is happening to our rainforest ecosystems? Have a look at this picture and you tell me what you think. What do you notice? How does it make you feel? Something doesn't sit quite right with me. We can see this beautiful green forest on one side, and on the other side, some burnt hills with some fragments of trees left behind. Clearly, something is destroying the rainforest. Any idea what that might be? Could be fire, perhaps people, and cutting trees down. Excellent. Great investigative skills there. So, deforestation. Deforestation is a human impact. It doesn't occur naturally. It isn't something that happens in the wild. It happens because of humans, and that is something we must remember. It is us as humans that cause this change in the rainforest ecosystem. Deforestation is a human impact. And it is the cutting down of forest and groups of trees so that areas can be turned into a different use. We are talking about deforestation in rainforests, but it can just as much happen in our local areas here in Britain, or perhaps even anywhere in the world, wherever there are groups of trees that have been cut down so that the area can be used for something different, be that for housing, or be that for farming, or be that for a lake, or whatever it is that has been made. That is deforestation, the cutting down of forests and groups of trees. 1.5 acres. So if you think about a football pitch that your favourite football team perhaps might play on, that is about 1.5 size of a football pitch of rainforest is cut every second. Let that sink in just a second. So if we think about the fact that was probably about 5 seconds or so, we are talking about over 5 football pitches have already been cut down. It's so hard to comprehend, to believe that that is actually happening. But deforestation is a really, really big threat to our rainforest ecosystems. But why are we cutting down these forests? What do we need them for? What do we change these areas into? Well, there are 3 key things that we use or try and do when we are doing deforestation as humans. The first one is for farming. Trees and rainforests are cut down so that farmers can make land where they can plant crops, they can graze cattle or animals, and they are clearing the land to create a new use in farming. So farming is one way that we use the land once it has been cleared of trees, cut down. Direct deforestation has taken place. Another reason for deforestation is building. Now, we are a growing population, and as we have more people on the planet, we need more places to put those people. And so to do that, we are clearing forests and rainforests and building new houses and new cities and towns to house all the people that have started to live there. So building is another key reason for deforestation. Farming, where we can grow crops and we can put cattle and animals out to pasture, and building is a key reason for deforestation. And the final reason for deforestation, it might not be something you might use today, but it is something that across the world is used a lot, is cutting down the trees for their wood. Still, many parts of the world use wood as a fuel for getting things working, for keeping houses warm, and it is absolutely still a reason to cut down those trees. So those are the 3 key reasons: farming, building, and for wood, for fuel. Right, you are going to need your books because you are going to write out these sentences, filling in the key words that are missing to explain what deforestation is. So deforestation is a impact to rainforest ecosystems. It is when groups of trees are down. Humans change the ecosystem to use the land and organisms for and So in a moment, I'll read that one more time, and then you can pause this video and write this in your book, including the missing words. Deforestation is a impact to rainforest ecosystems. It is where groups of trees are down. humans change the ecosystem to use the land and organisms for and. Remember, you have some pictures just under here to help you. Pause the video now so that you can write out your sentences to explain what deforestation is. Great. So see how you've done? So, deforestation is a human impact to rainforest ecosystems. It happens because we as humans change the ecosystem. It isn't a natural impact. Deforestation is a human impact to rainforest ecosystems. It is when groups of trees are cut down. Great, well done for remembering that one. Humans change the ecosystem to use the land and organisms for farming. There was that picture underneath. Buildings, and of course wood or fuel. Check that you have got all of these keywords in your books, and then we'll move on. So, how does this actually impact the rainforest ecosystems? What does deforestation actually do to the rainforest and how the ecosystems work? Remembering that an ecosystem is, you should be able to tell me by now, an ecosystem is a community, a group of plants, animals, yes, habitats, and microorganisms. Brilliant. That should be almost stuck in your brain now after all of these lessons. So let's think about the plants first. Deforestation is essentially cutting down all of those trees, and trees are a key component, a key part of our rainforest ecosystem. Once those trees have been cut down, then suddenly there is a loss of habitat. So if we have a look at this picture here, you can see that there is just nowhere for any animals to live. Taking away those trees takes away the canopy, that top layer, it takes away middle layers, it takes away the leaves that fall on the ground that insects would like to be living in. The whole deforestation just takes away huge amounts of habitat. And with that habitat loop being lost, we then start to lose animals. Animals have to find somewhere new to live, somewhere new to find their food. And then, of course, when they can't do that, we sadly will see animals start to die. So taking away those trees, suddenly there are no plants. The plants aren't there to keep our area a safe place to live. There is no habitats. And suddenly the food has also started to be taken away. When we think about those food webs, once we took away that primary producer part of the food web, we started to see animals die off. This is exactly what is happening. We are cutting away some of those producers, and animals are dying. So no plants, no habitats, and then no animals. And that does impact our microorganisms too. So, our next task. I would like you to just separate out some of the key impacts that happen to rainforest ecosystems. And the first thing that you are going to need to do is probably move your book so it is landscape and draw a table with the ruler, nice straight lines, into 3 parts. You're going to need a plants column, a habitats column, and an animals column, just like there is on the screen. Pause now so that you can draw that in your book. Great. Got your 3 columns, plants, habitats, and animals. Brilliant. So now that you have your columns, we are going to look at some of the impacts that happen because of deforestation. Because humans go and cut down groups of trees or huge areas of forests, there are some impacts. And these impacts happen to animals, plants, and habitats. And you are going to sort these sentences into the right column. So I will read them out so that you have read them, starting with this black one first. Deforestation destroys parts of the rainforest found only in tropical rainforest. The homes of specialized animals disappear. 5 million animals die each year because of deforestation. Species such as the clouded leopard have become extinct. 15 billion trees are cut down each year. With fewer trees, land is at higher risk of flooding and erosion. That means when the soil gets pulled away and pushed away. And with no trees, the soil loses nutrients and plants find it more difficult to survive. So you have got 6 key facts, and I want you to sort them into impacts that are on animals, impacts that are on plants, and impacts that are on habitats. You can pause the screen now and start sorting. Good luck. So let's see. Did you get the same answers? So first of all, let's look at our plants column. 15 billion trees are cut down each year. That is an impact to plants. 15 billion plants are torn away, are cut down and disposed of for whatever reason, whether that's for fuel or for farming. But 15 billion trees are cut down every year. And with no trees, without trees, the soil loses a lot of its nutrients, a lot of its goodness. And we know that nutrients help growth and they will help plants grow well. And so plants find it more difficult to survive. Smaller plants will find it more difficult to survive. And suddenly we're not only losing the trees that have been cut down, but also different plants that might be on the forest floor. So those are impacts to plants. Habitats. Deforestation destroys parts of the rainforest found only in tropical rainforests. The homes of specialised animals disappear. We're talking about how certain animals only live in rainforests. So when you take that rainforest away, they have nowhere else to live. And of course, that also impacts that animal and they may become extinct. With fewer trees, land is at higher risk of flooding and erosion. So not only are we changing the habitat so that they have nowhere to live, but actually you're giving it a bigger risk. So even if animals do survive, there's a higher risk of natural causes of flooding from rain and for landslides and things from erosion that can also ruin habitats. And finally, animals. 5 million animals die each year because of deforestation. 5 million animals each year die. That's crazy. A huge number of animals every year just because of deforestation. Before we even bring in any other impact, any other change that could happen, deforestation is killing 5 million animals. And species such as the clouded leopard, which was a leopard only found in Asia, have now become extinct. They can only be found in some of the zoos, perhaps in Asia, but they are not found in the wild. That is a really scary statistic, a really scary bit of information where whole species of animal are dying and becoming extinct because of deforestation. So, look at this beautiful picture of a rainforest. This is not safe. Deforestation is a true threat to our rainforest ecosystems, and it is really important that we learn more about this so that we can become advocates to change and to make this not happen. So remembering, change, that is, ecosystems change all the time, but this is a human change that we are forcing on the rainforest ecosystem. Deforestation, the cutting down, the taking away of trees for other uses. Impact, the effect that that deforestation has been devastating on our world's rainforests. And finally, human. It is us as humans who are creating this mess in our rainforests. Now, we are really, really close to the end of our science lessons, and we have learned all about our ecosystems, our communities of plants, and we thought of animals, plants, and habitats and microorganisms, and we thought about how we can group those animals and classify, and we thought a lot about the food and how microorganisms and organisms in general work together within an ecosystem. But we're going to look closely at one animal for our final science lesson, and we're going to use all the skills that we have developed through the whole of these lessons to find out a little bit more about how they live, but also the threat deforestation has on their lives. I'm going to give you a clue about what animal it is, but I'm not going to say what it is, just in case. So here we have the animal we'll be focusing on in our final lesson. Can't wait to see you there. See you next time. Goodbye.